Title: I Grew Up in a Family That Wasn't Mine, Part 1/3. It took me 27 years to realize I didn't belong in the house I was raised in. And no, this isn't one of those "I'm adopted and they never told me" stories. This is worse. So much worse. Growing up, I always felt like a guest in my own home. Not in an obvious, Cinderella kind of way. My parents weren't abusive. They fed me, clothed me, celebrated my birthdays. But there was always something off. Something just beneath the surface. Like they were playing house, and I was the one prop they never knew what to do with. My mom, Carol, was always polite. Too polite. Every hug felt rehearsed. My dad, Richard, kept a certain distance, like he wasn't sure how to talk to me. Or maybe didn't want to. There were no baby photos of me in the house. Just one, a framed picture of me as a toddler, maybe 3 years old, standing in a pumpkin patch with a smile that doesn't feel like mine. No hospital bracelets. No ultrasound photos. No birth certificate framed on the wall like my cousins had. I asked about it once, when I was around 9. Where are my baby pictures? Carol had looked up from folding laundry and said, "Oh, the basement probably. You know how cluttered it is down there." I didn't. They never let me in the basement. That was always the rule growing up. The basement door had a key lock, and the key stayed on my dad's ring, which he kept in his pocket at all times. When I was a kid, I thought maybe they were hiding Christmas presents or something. But I never heard them go down there. Not once. Our house was small, a one-story ranch with creaky floors and bad insulation. If someone opened the basement door, you'd know. But that door stayed shut. Always. One time, when I was maybe 12, I snuck into their room while they were at the grocery store. Found the keyring in my dad's top drawer, under a pile of old baseball cards. I was sweating like crazy as I tiptoed to the basement door. Key slid in. Clicked. I opened it just an inch before I heard our car pull into the driveway. Slammed it shut. Relocked it. Ran back to their room, returned the key. Carol asked why I looked pale when they came back. I said I wasn't feeling well. She made me soup, like always. Chicken noodle. No carrots, because she knew I hated them. Or at least, she acted like she knew. High school was a blur. I wasn't close with anyone. I had a couple friends, Gabe, mostly, but I was never invited to sleepovers or parties. My parents didn't let me go anywhere overnight. Ever. Family is everything, my dad would say. The world is full of people who'll throw you away. Not us. College was my first real escape. I got into a state university 2 hours away and practically ran out the door. But they never stopped checking in. Texts. Calls. Care packages with weird notes like, "Don't forget who you are." And every time I came home for the holidays, it felt a little colder in that house. Like the walls knew I didn't belong. Like they knew. I found the truth by accident. I was going through some old boxes in my apartment closet, trying to find a notebook from my freshman year. One of the boxes had a folder I didn't recognize. Inside, medical documents. Pediatric records. Shot records. Hospital bills. All with my name. But not my parents. They listed 2 other names, Rachel Monroe and Daniel Kessler. I stared at those names for a long time. They meant nothing to me. But my hands were shaking. I called Carol. "Hey, Mom, do you know who Rachel Monroe is?" Silence. Then, "Where did you see that name?" "No, who?" No confusion. Just immediate concern. I said I found some old medical stuff. She told me to come home. Right now. She insisted. I drove down the next morning. Snow was starting to fall, and the road to the old neighborhood looked emptier than I remembered. When I pulled into the driveway, Dad was standing in the window, watching. Carol opened the door before I even knocked. We need to talk, she said. No hug. No smile. She led me to the kitchen. Dad stayed silent. Just stood by the sink. She poured tea. I didn't touch mine. Rachel Monroe is your birth mother, she said. She was sick. Couldn't take care of you. She left you at the hospital. No paperwork. No name. Just a note. What note? Dad pulled a small slip of paper from his back pocket. Like he'd been carrying it for years. I unfolded it. 4 words, scribbled in tight handwriting. He doesn't belong here. Title: I grew up in a family that wasn't mine, part 2/3. I don't remember much after reading that note. My brain felt like it short-circuited. Like someone had pulled the plug on everything I thought I knew. He doesn't belong here. Not, please take care of him. Not, this is my son. Not even a name. Just a warning. I must have asked them a dozen questions. Who found me? What hospital? Were the police involved? Did social services know? Why did they take me? Carol and Richard gave me a story, but it felt half-formed. Like they'd rehearsed it, but only the outline. They said the hospital called them after I was left because they had been on a foster list. That they took me in temporarily. That the system was overloaded and I just stayed. We didn't mean to keep secrets, Carol said. We were afraid. You were so different. We didn't know what was best. Different how? I asked. She didn't answer. The next few weeks were chaos. I took time off work. I barely slept. I tried tracking down information on Rachel Monroe and Daniel Kessler, but nothing solid came up. No records that matched the right time or location. It was like they didn't exist. Or like someone had gone out of their way to scrub them. The worst part? I couldn't stop thinking about the basement. It came back in flashes. Nightmares. Whispers in my sleep. I'd dream of standing at the top of those stairs, key in hand, while something down there waited. Breathing. Smiling. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove home again, unannounced. Pulled into the driveway like I was 17 again. Walked right past Carol and Richard on the porch. I need to see it, I said. Now. Carol stood in front of the door. Don't, she said, eyes full of something between fear and regret. Please, don't. Richard didn't move. Didn't speak. Just pulled the keyring from his pocket and held it out. The basement door creaked open like it had been waiting. Dust spilled from the edges. The air was thick, damp, colder than it should have been for a summer afternoon. I flicked the light switch. Nothing. Of course. Flashlight in hand, I started down the steps. Every creak felt like a scream. The beam of light cut through the dark, illuminating storage bins, shelves, old furniture. Nothing unusual. Then I saw it. In the far corner, behind a rusted water heater, there was a door. A second door. One I hadn't known existed. Small. Almost hidden behind insulation and pipes. I moved closer. My heart was hammering so loud I thought it might drown out my thoughts. There was no knob. Just a small indentation. Like it opened from the other side. I knocked. And something knocked back. I ran. Back up the stairs. Past Carol, who was crying now. I jumped in my car and drove for hours. Didn't even know where I was going until I pulled into a motel 2 states over. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that door. The next morning, I got a text from Richard. It's awake now. You shouldn't have gone down there. No other explanation. No follow-up. I didn't reply. I started digging harder. Not into Rachel or Daniel. Into them, my parents. Found old tax records, utility bills, property history. And I found something I wasn't supposed to. They bought the house after they got me. The basement had been sealed off for decades before that. They moved in with me. They didn't bring me to the house. The house brought them to me. That night, I had the worst dream yet. I was a child again, standing in the hallway outside the basement door. Carol and Richard were behind me, whispering, "Don't open it. You'll wake him." I turned the key. Down the stairs. To the second door. Only this time, it opened. Inside was a nursery. Soft blue walls. Toys. A crib. And inside the crib was me. Eyes wide open. Smiling. Then he sat up and whispered, "He doesn't belong here." I woke up screaming. I haven't been back since. I get calls. Voicemails. Texts. Sometimes it's Carol. Sometimes it's a number with no ID. Sometimes I hear breathing. Sometimes laughter. I don't know who I am. I don't know what they found that night at the hospital. But I don't think it was a normal child. I think it was something pretending. And I think it wants me to remember what I really am. To be continued in part 3/3.
Title: I Grew Up in a Family That Wasn't Mine, Part 3 of 3. It's been 3 months since I opened the basement door. I've changed my number twice. Moved once. Got a new job under a different name. I didn't tell anyone where I was going, not even Gabe. I thought I could outrun it. Whatever it is. I was wrong. Because 2 nights ago, I got a letter. No return address. Just my new name, in neat handwriting on the envelope. Inside, a single photograph. A baby, wrapped in a blue blanket, lying in a hospital bassinet. The eyes are open. Wide. Too wide. Looking right into the camera. Looking at me. On the back. He's still down there. I don't know why, but I started writing everything down after that. Maybe to make sense of it. Maybe to prove I'm not crazy. So here it is. Every weird detail. Every lie. Every time my parents avoided the truth. Every moment that screamed wrong when I was too young to know why. Like the way Richard never let me near the furnace. The way Carol flinched when I laughed too loud. The way the neighborhood kids wouldn't come past our mailbox. They knew something was wrong. Everyone did. Last night, I had another dream. I was back in the basement. Older now. A flashlight in my hand. My breath clouding in the freezing air. I walked to the second door, but it wasn't closed this time. It was wide open. Inside, the same nursery. Same crib. But no baby. Just a mirror. And in the mirror, I saw myself as a child. Sitting cross-legged. Smiling. "You left me," the reflection said. "You forgot." I tried to speak, but I couldn't. The reflection stood up. Walked to the edge of the mirror. And then stepped out. I woke up gasping. My apartment was ice cold. I checked the thermostat, 72. I checked the locks, still locked. But the photo from the envelope was gone. And on my bathroom mirror, written in something dark, were the words, "I remember now." I don't know if I'm human. I know how that sounds. Believe me, I do. But I feel it. Like something inside me is stretching, waking up. Sometimes I black out and wake up with dirt under my nails. Mud on my shoes. Like I've been somewhere else. Sometimes I hear the crying. A baby, somewhere in the walls. Sometimes I hear laughter. And once, just once, I heard my own voice say, "You don't belong here." I called Carol. First time in weeks. She picked up on the first ring. "It's not your fault," she said. I didn't even ask a question. We didn't know. We thought we could raise it right. We thought love would be enough. "What is it?" I asked. Silence. Then, "You? It's you." But it's not. I went back today. The house looked the same. Overgrown lawn. Curtains drawn. No mail in the box. The front door was unlocked. Inside, everything was covered in sheets. Dust. Abandonment. I went to the basement. The key was still under the mat. The door opened on the first try. I descended slowly, flashlight in hand. The air was thick, like breathing through cotton. The second door was open. No nursery. Just a single chair, facing the wall. Someone was sitting in it. It was me. Or at least, it looked like me. Older. Paler. Eyes too wide. Same smile from the baby photo. He turned. Took you long enough, he said. What are you? I asked. He grinned. I'm the part they couldn't raise. The part they locked away. The part that remembers. I backed up. He stood. We're not done, he said. You woke me up. He stepped forward, and I ran. Out of the basement. Out of the house. Into my car. Drove for hours. Didn't stop until I hit the state line. That was 2 hours ago. I'm in a motel again. I can hear the pipes groaning. The wind howling. There's a knock at the door. I haven't opened it. I won't. Because I know what I'll see. Me. Smiling. And this time, he's not going back in the basement. The end.